Hello, YouTube community. I'm so excited to share this news with you that I have a new book, my 7th book, but my very first poetry reflection book. And this feels like the most vulnerable thing that I have ever put out into the world, to be completely honest with you. And my YouTube community is basically my one platform that has seen me my most raw and my most candid and my most vulnerable moments in my life, as I really did jump online, which was YouTube before any other platform, to share my experiences and my struggles, because I felt that it wasn't being talked enough about online. And as I went through these very challenging times in my life, I felt very isolated and like there wasn't others really talking openly about it. And I feel that a really big part of healing and becoming empowered in this human experience is connecting with others and relating. These relationships, we're relating our experiences with others so that we don't feel so weird and lost and confused and realize, oh, you don't have it figured out either, and you go through the similar things than I do. So that's a really big intention behind why I'm here on this platform, why I'm online at all, why I share courses, and why I write my books. So this is very vulnerable, and so first of all, the book, I don't have a physical copy with me right now, so I'm not being the best promo person for the book right now. I'm just going to share it from the ebook. And that is because I'm in Canada, and apparently Canada is a very far away land where all of the author copies and the books, if I were in America, it takes 24 hours to ship to, and then Canada, it takes a month. And it's called A Heart Wide Open, Tantric Musings on Life, Love, and Loss. And I'm not going to get into it deeply right now because I'm actually about to film a podcast episode with this, so you guys get kind of the behind the scenes. But I wanted to touch base with you guys because I've missed you. I love creating videos here, and I wanted to tell you something very exciting. Actually, a couple exciting things before I jump into the podcast episode. So firstly, I bought a van, which is super exciting, and in about a month and a half, I'm going to be going across America and having a tour to do a book reading, probably reading from this most recent book, my poetry book, and then also some entries from other books as well. And I'm going to be going all through America. So I'm going to share more about it soon, but that's one super exciting thing. And I'm going to be doing van life with my dog back in California probably next month. So I'm hoping to create some epic content for you guys on that and share more of my van life journey as well. Next thing is I haven't shared a video about my new membership program. I should probably do a video on it because it was a huge thing for me that I'm not going to get into. But I released the Goddess app, which was my biggest dream really that I've had in my career and my biggest investment and so much. And I just felt this really deep calling that I was meant to get rid of it, that my community was ready for more. And it was this huge download of Unbounded, the membership program that I've now launched. And it just includes so much. I'm not even going to list all that it includes because it's just been blowing everyone away how much I've put into this, because you basically get hundreds of videos and audios of content that I've created. Well, there's almost 100 now. You get weekly lives with me, master classes, coaching, just tons of stuff. Anyways, I said I wasn't going to get into it, but now I am. It's called Unbounded, and it's for goddesses and sisters. So anyone who's called to work with me, this is definitely the most affordable way, and for what you get especially. I've just been receiving incredible feedback with it, and I really did put all my heart into it and wanted to make these practices and really make myself accessible to you as well, because I love coaching as many people as possible. I'm someone who really would like to have hundreds of people on there and be coaching that way if it's sustainable for me, rather than doing one-on-one coaching. So I'm kind of trying to get out of one-on-one and just do more group programs and really be able to empower as many sisters and those who identify as sisters the most that I can, because Ultimately, I'm just trying to spread the biggest wave of love and empowerment in the collective that I can during my time here. As I've shared with all of you before, that's my greatest intention. And yeah, that's how I can do it, through a membership program. This is my first one, so it's super exciting. And if you're interested, I've linked it below this video. And you can also go to KrystalAranyani.com/unbounded. So that's a little update about my life. I felt like I just had to share that with my YouTube community because I haven't been on in the past couple months. I have been writing a book and really focusing on the membership program. So with all that being said, now I'm going to hop into recording this episode where I'm going to be sharing more about the book and read some entries from it. Welcome, my loves, to another episode of Real Talk with Krystal, and this is a very, very exciting episode as today is the release of my new book, A Heart Wide Open, Tantric Musings on Life, Love, and Loss. It is my 7th book, but my very first book on poetry and reflections that I've had on some pretty big topics. And first I'm going to share the creation of this book and where it came from, and then I'm going to read some entries with you. And for those who are listening in real time or in the future, the book is now available on Amazon, A Heart Wide Open. You can look me up, Krystal Aranyani, and I have about 5 books, I think, on Amazon if you wanted to check those out too. For those in real time, all of my books that are on Amazon are also half off this week, celebrating the release, and I just want to make these available to as many people as possible. And A Heart Wide Open is also 50% off. It's actually the lowest price that Amazon would let me do it because I only wanted to do it for like $1 or $2 and just get this out to as many people. I really wrote this book with the intention to just share it with as many people as possible, and that's why this is going to be my first book that I'm actually doing a cross-US tour with and doing some readings and some events. That's going to be so exciting, but there will be more about that later. So if you're listening in real time, I would go jump on that. So firstly, let's talk about the creation of this book. So this book came to me similarly as my first book, Awakening the Goddess, which had an amazing response. And I did really feel the response from that was because it wasn't me. And when I say that, I feel that when we're creating, it's not coming from like our ego or identity. It feels like a direct download from source. And ultimately, I feel that that's us connecting to the collective consciousness and listening and becoming these empty vessels, the messenger for the message. So that's how I felt with my first book. I didn't remember writing it. It all came through me. I was staying on my friend's couch in California, actually going through a breakup then too, actually, a really hard breakup. I guess that opens me up, and that's the name of this book as well, A Heart Wide Open. So in these moments, a big theme of this book is in the moments of heartbreak and pain and struggle, it's the magic and the miracles enter when we want to contract and instead we decide to open up and to expand more and say, yes, I'm human. This is the life experience. Bring it to me. What do you have, life? What do you got? And can I make this beautiful and blissful? And can I find pleasure even in the darkest depths of pain? So that's a big theme of this book. And my first book was just a download, and then this one, I was sitting on my deck in California during isolation. You know, the pandemic, as I've shared on this podcast, was really challenging for me as I was just a free spirit traveling around the world, no worries, no home for, 12 years. And then all of a sudden the pandemic hit and I had to find somewhere to stay and figure out my life, how to stay in one spot and in countries where I didn't have a long-term visa and just all of these things. So there was a lot of struggles, and I was on my own for the first, pretty much the 2 years of the pandemic in isolation for a lot of it. And I was going through a heartbreak, sitting on my little San Clemente deck, watching the sunset, and that's what I did that night. I opened, and I remember closing my eyes, and I just remember wanting to give up, like, what's the point to all this? Hurts so fucking much every time. I've tried so many times in love, and how do I just keep getting hurt? And all of that that self-pity, which isn't a bad thing. Like, it's part of the healing process. But I was just in that and I wanted to contract. Instead, I just sat up taller and I opened my heart, and I remember looking around and just seeing everything look so vibrant and the sky looks so beautiful. The pastels and all the colors just look so bright, and the birds, there's these two little birds playing, and I just opened my heart, and really my pain turned into tears of joy, and I was so happy to be alive. And when you find pleasure in pain in this way, you kind of feel a little crazy, like it's like an intoxication off of life, and you just start laughing. It's like, why am I laughing? I'm supposed to be hurt, but here I am. And that was my experience. And then I went inside once it started getting cold, and I got on my phone, and just all of these entries, over 100 entries, came through me until sunrise the next morning, one after another. I didn't question it, I just let it come through. And so about half of the entries, there's about 250, I think just under 250 in the book. And over 100 of those were written in that night, in that evening. So this book really was a test to my perfectionism, because I felt that it came through me so rawly. I didn't want to edit too much. I could have spent like another 3 months just editing the poetry in it, but I felt that I was just supposed to put it out there, and it makes me a little nervous. I hope the reviews are good, but at the same time, there's a poem in there where I share that I feel the creative process. It's not about, how many likes you get, or about money, or about views and all those things. Like that's bringing ego into artwork. And I really learned that during the process of writing this book, that certain things came through. I'm like, I don't know if I want to share that. But at the start of writing this, I made a promise to myself that I was going to honor my heart, not take things out because of my ego, or, oh, this guy might see this and know it's about him or something like that. And I just honored the process, and I honored my heart, how it felt at that time, because it was very, very real feelings at the time. And again, a message of this is to really find beauty in our vulnerability, and to just share how it is. So that's what I did, and I committed to that. So there's 4 parts to A Heart Wide Open. The first part is loving, which is pretty self-explanatory. It's different experiences in love for me, as well as loving life, having this love affair with existence, which is how I choose to live my life. And the next part is letting go. This really covers not just loss in heartbreak and relationships, but also death. And I even go into my experience with losing loved ones to addiction, and it's pretty heavy topics, and also some mostly entries on my heartbreak of losing relationships, and also longing, this divine longing that I feel I've had most of my life. And then the next part is awakening. So these entries are on Tantra and spirituality, and my perspective of this wild thing we call life, and how I view it. So there's many empowering entries in there, sharing how to have a love affair with life and make the best of your time here. And then the 4th one is called Empowered, and that's all empowering entries about my own journey, finding my own power, and also just some empowering reminders and words for everyone. So it really is my greatest intention with this book to help others heal their hearts, and to remember their power, to remember that their humanness is beautiful and their vulnerability is sacred. And I hope that comes through in the words that I share, and I hope many of you get the book. And it would mean the world to me if you shared a review and shared your favorite entry or entries in it, because I'm very curious. This is my first time writing in this way. It's bringing up all kinds of feelings for me. I feel super vulnerable today. I kind of feel sick about it, but it's okay. I'm leaning into that. I'm finding beauty in it. I'm really leaning into my vulnerability. And I also have some entries in there that say I'm not apologizing for my feelings, for my heart, for how open I am, for how vulnerable I am anymore. And this tour that I'm planning as well is terrifying. It's the scariest thing I can do is to get up on stage for all these events. And I plan on doing it in my full vulnerability. and just allowing everyone to see me in that. I think that's what the world needs more of. So with all that being said, I'm going to read some, and just full disclosure, I need some practice reading these because I know there's a kind of beautiful way to read poetry, and I never have before. So you're catching me on my first time reading, so here you can see me a little bit vulnerable. And yeah, I really hope you like these. And if you're not driving or busy doing something, you can lay back and just place your hands over your heart and allow these words into them. I have been stepping into versions of myself that years ago I could only dream of, not knowing if I could really grow. I let old versions of me burn to ashes. I let the tower crumble and fall. I stepped into the flames, set ablaze by my own matches. That allowed me to rebirth from nothing, to let go of it all. I danced barefoot upon the rubble, reclaiming my inner treasures and pleasures, and when the dust cleared, I rose from the embers, as the woman I came here to be, who I could only then so clearly see. Now, I humbly bow to our beloved destruction, to the sacred flames of transformation. I humbly bow to this wild existence with the utmost admiration. And that is really a representation of my life the last few months. I let a lot burn to the ground and rebirth myself. Definitely this year has been a really big rebirthing for me. I wiped my tears and looked up at the calm night sky, breathing in the crisp mountain air. As I exhaled, I collapsed to my knees. I could feel the stars witnessing me. I could feel the breeze sneaking over the tall grass to kiss my face as it danced past, and reminded me that I was not as alone as I felt. But with so much life around me, I still wanted to give up. Why is all I could muster. I pressed my eyes a little tighter, holding in more tears, and thought back to all of the years. I felt my heart break, just like that. I felt so hopeless, so weak. How much more of this could I take? I promised myself I would never allow it to make me bitter. Then I heard a voice softly whisper, "Because, my darling, I have something so much bigger for you. Just wait." When heartbreak knocks at your door, don't walk away and ignore her. Don't hide and hope that she leaves. Don't attempt to numb the fact that she's there. Stand up, open the door, and invite her in. Offer her your finest wine and tell her your bittersweet story. Honor all of the places she has been before you and will visit after. Thank her for the lessons, for reminding you of your strength, for allowing you to grow, for showing you how alive you truly are. Allow her to wipe your tears and wash away life as you thought you knew it. Let her show you that your sense of control was only an illusion, a hopeless, hopeful, delightful fantasy. Have the humility to drop down to your knees and bow to her, then the courage to get up and tell her when it's time to go. You were like a blazing building on fire I couldn't help but strut straight into. I knew that it would burn me to the ground. There was no way it could not. I attempted to command my heart to stop, but my feet kept walking. It seems I'm willing to destroy it all, to intentionally rise while knowing that I'll fall for the things that make me feel most alive. Do not worry, my love. Do not lose sleep, for there are many years ahead, so many people you will meet who will love you like no one has before, so many experiences that will awaken you more than ever before, so many places that will be the most special places you have ever seen. There is so much ahead of you. If you could only see a glimpse of what's to come, I know your mind would be at ease. I know your heart would never cease to trust, to surrender, to believe. Trust, my love, that all is happening as it's supposed to. Trust that what is meant for you is on its way, and what is not could never stay. No matter how hard you attempt to grasp, there is a greater path meant for you, far beyond what you might see now. Trust, my love, that the timing of your life is absolutely perfect, that every step you take is divinely guided. When it gets tough and it feels like you can't possibly go on, know that God chooses the strongest ones to walk the most trying paths. in order to grow into all that they came here to be. In the midst of those sacred growing pains, you may only see the next step and not realize you are walking the staircase of infinite potentiality. Keep going. And that one's called The Darkness is a Gift. Okay, let's see. Maybe we'll do one more. Actually, we'll do two more. When all of this is over, I want to look back and know that I was always the girl who leaped, that I was not afraid to chase my most intimidating, wildest dreams, that I never listened to those who said I couldn't do it, that I never allowed the hurtful actions of others to bitter my heart, that I was always paving my own path, that I listened to what my soul was craving and followed the things that made my heart beat faster. I want to know that even though I had my heart broken so many times, I was always the girl who showed up to love like it was her first. I want to look back and know that I lived a life of passion, devotion, pleasure, courage, exploration, and that everywhere I went, I made others feel good. That I left the places and people who came into my life better than they were before we met. I want to leave as little of a carbon footprint as possible. I want to be grateful for every lesson and obstacle and know that they kept me kind and humble. I want to know that I walked through this life as though flowers followed behind me, as though the earth rejoiced with my movement and the moon guided my path every step that I took. I like reading these. It's fun. I need to get used to it, but it's good. It's so nice hearing them out loud and through my voice. Okay, I'll share one more on Tantra. Tantra does not tell you to learn more, to read more, or to spend your days studying ancient scriptures, but to let go of everything you have learned and just be. Tantra does not tell you to show up at a set time every day to prove your commitment. It invites you to go live spontaneously, moment to moment. Tantra invites you to let go of routine and free yourself, to openly laugh, smile, cry, and scream, to dance, to sing, and to play more. Tantra does not tell you to renounce worldly pleasures, to give into societal or religious pressures, but to dive passionately into the sacred senses as pathways, as doorways to ultimate ecstasy and bliss. Tantra does not tell you to leave this body, but to love it, to worship it, to treat it as your holy temple, to embrace every internal desire and tremble, to only allow those who are prepared to treat it with the utmost respect and reverence, to enter its sacred doors, to offer awareness over ignorance, to not seek enlightenment in something outside of yourself, but to realize it's residing within this temple of eternal love, right here, within this moment. Tantra invites you to make all of life a sacred ritual, a divine love affair. My heart. I love reading those. I'm going to have so much fun doing it in person. Yay. Thank you so much, loves, for listening. It means the world to me. I hope these words were received within your heart, and these little reminders will bring some brightness to your day. So again, you can hop on Amazon, A Heart Wide Open. It really means a lot when you leave reviews. It helps get the book out there more, and it just really means a lot to me. I do read every review. I know some people say you shouldn't, but I read them because I just love reading how it's received and receiving feedback from you, because sometimes it's like I'm just creating these videos and sharing through this little microphone and these little screens, and the feedback just means everything. It's how I keep going and how I get inspired to keep sharing and doing so openly because of the beautiful feedback I get. So yay, I'm gonna go celebrate, and I don't know how I'm gonna do that. I'm probably just gonna go for a hike in the mountains and have a little ceremony thanking the earth and the universe really for this opportunity to be able to share these parts of my heart and my soul through all of these little devices and little ways, pathways, to reach out to you and to connect and to all rise up together. Feels good, my loves. Thank you again for listening, and you'll hear from me in the next episode. and just sending so much love.